started. Um, so what we're trying to do here is we're trying to see if we can, we're testing the idea of vibe coding with the copilot. I don't know what the right term is. People seem to use vibe coding for all kinds of things. Um, but copilot coding is probably the better phrase. And it's been my experience in the last year, the last few months, that I read and I hear just wildly different accounts on what AI or MLLs are going to do for coding. Some people will tell you that it's easy. You just do a napkin drawing and write a couple words, and it spits out an app. Lots of people say, "Oh, it's not that easy." And so I'm going to do some experimenting, and I'm going to share that experimenting with you. So I thought the first experiment that I would try to do is to write a simple game, a Minesweeper game. This was a game that shipped, I think, with Windows 3.1. People have been playing it for probably 30 years now. And I thought of it just because it was a game that I played a lot when I was a kid, but also because it's about as simple as a game can get, except for maybe tic-tac-toe. Um, so not shown here. Before I started, I made the decision, probably a bit of an arbitrary decision, that I want to write this game using in a web browser using a React front end. That's just because I've been learning React. It's kind of a theme for me, keeping it simple. Um, there's no backend required for this. It's just going to be a little game that we play in the browser. And so, not shown here, I installed Node.js, which is sort of the first step in getting a local React project going. Every other step, I think I will show as we go. So to begin, and a little background on me because you obviously don't know me. I have lots of coding experience, sort of as a hobbyist over the years when I was a kid. However, I never got really good at any particular language. I've never worked professionally as a coder, so I see myself as probably ideal for coding with a copilot because I have some good big picture ideas of how to do things. I think I can ask good questions, but I'm not very good at syntax or knowing what the latest tool is or what library I should use to do this or that. And I have a tendency to kind of always fall back on the old way of doing things just because of the lack of awareness. So I'm hopeful that this is all going to go really well, and like in half an hour, we're going to have a Minesweeper game going. So the first thing I'm going to do to that point, because I'm not good at syntax and remembering exact details, is I'm just going to ask GPT, how do I start a React project? Um, you can see I've got GPT up on the screen here. I am logged in as me, so it's 4.0 on a subscribed account. I'm not sure the free version would give you much different answers. But I did click the private chat button because I've already already ran through this once, and I don't want that previous conversation in GPT's memory to bias this. So I think the way I've set it up, it's clean slate. It doesn't have any Minesweeper context that it's going to inadvertently throw into the conversation, other than what it already knows about Minesweeper. Um, and to that effect, I'm going to try not to use the word Minesweeper or the word mines. I'm going to try to describe the game in different words because it probably GPT has in some of its training data come across Minesweeper and have some concept of what this is. Okay, so I'm going to start out by just asking it, how do I start a new project using React with TypeScript? I've just been using TypeScript. That's another arbitrary decision. You could also I think the default is to use JavaScript. Pick one. So let's ask the question. Okay, so it wants us to make sure Node is installed. That is the one step I did before this, as I let you know. And then I'm just going to drag this chat box over a little bit. And then it tells us to create a new project. So let's do that. Let's move into, I made a folder for this, and we're going to create an app. So I'm just copying down this instruction here. I don't like to copy paste instructions. It feels more organic. Whoops, feels more organic to type them. So that's what I'm going to do. So npx, that's running the node package X. It's going to tell it to create React app. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Mines. I'm going to call it Mine. I'm just call it Mines. template TypeScript. That's funny. That's different than what it did last time. Whatever. Let's see what happens. Template. Last time it said do React TS. Off we go. Need to install the following packages. See, no, I don't think that's right. I'm just going to ask it because this feels a little off to me. I'm going to say, is there another way to create this React app in Windows? When things don't feel right, ask for clarification. Whoops. Hey, someone joined. Wrongness generator 3000 did something different. No way. I don't know what that means. Here we go. This is what I'm used to seeing. All right, so already our experiment has failed a little bit because I'm helping it along with something I'm familiar with. Um, let's see how far down that hole we fall. Okay, so we're going to create using Vite, the latest version. I'm still going to call it Mines. Haven't given up on that. React yes. I don't know what the difference was. And I'm a curious guy, so I'm going to say, it's already telling us. If this is better, why did you tell me to do it the other way? I like to get literal with these things. It's always got a good answer, doesn't it? It's always got a good answer. Oh, and this time I just typed it wrong, so we're going to do that over again. React TS. I really have no way. I don't know how to see if anybody's watching this. I just saw one guy in the chat. It's one person in the chat. Okay, anyway, so let's go into the folder and we're going to run install. So again, these are just the first steps in setting up a React project. Once we get that going, then we're going to start giving it instructions and hopefully it starts giving us some good code to write our game. If you missed me ranting to myself in the beginning, what I'm trying to do here is use GPT as a co-pilot to recreate the Windows Minesweeper game. And the reason that I'm doing that is a part of a bunch of experiments that I want to do for myself to educate myself and to kind of prove to myself yes or no, is this whole AI co-pilot thing overrated or is it actually a really fast way to generate useful code? Okay, so we've installed it. Now we're going to go npm run dev, and I don't want it in that browser window. I created a special guest window for this. So I'll open that. I hit go, put the link in there, and I should see my little React Hello World thing, and so I do. Okay, so we've got our little empty Hello World app going. Now we're going to ask GPT to start for us, and I think the way that I'm going to approach this, and I'd be curious if people have other ways, is I want to describe building this Minesweeper game in steps. I don't want to overwhelm it by explaining the whole game up front. And I want those steps to be kind of logical, sort of building on each other. So in my mind, when I think about Minesweeper, I think, well, it's a grid game. So I'm going to have some kind of visual grid. The tiles in the grid will have to have some information about them. We'll have to know whether there's a mine underneath it or not a mine. And we're going to have to be able to click on those tiles to cause some kind of revealing result to happen. That's sort of basic stuff. So let's try to explain that to my copilot. We got another comment here. It's great until it deletes everything. See, yeah, no kidding. You know, I'll tell you, in my experience, I'm almost as likely to accidentally delete an entire folder myself. So and this is what I keep telling people about AI. You know, a lot of people like, oh, it's not exactly right. Oh, the AI lied to me. Well, people lie to you. This is the thing. Like GPT has given me mostly good advice in the last couple of years. Can't think of a single human being who's really given me consistently better advice. It's part of our experience in this world is that we just don't always get the best advice and we have to know what's going on and figure that out, right? Anyway, so let's try to ask GPT to do something for us. So I want to create a game. The game should be based on a 20 by 20 grid of tiles. For each tile, I need to know I need to, let's say, each tile needs to have a state that track what under the tile and whether or not the tile has been revealed. Start, I would like 30 random tiles to have M under them in their state. I feel like that's a pretty good description of the playing board. So let's see what it comes up with. I understand people wanting to avoid JavaScript programming. Yeah. I'm also pretty ignorant of JavaScript programming. This is a big gap for me. Why did I start with TypeScript and not JavaScript? I honestly don't. It literally could be that just like the first tutorial I found was in TypeScript and I didn't get past that. And anytime I ask anybody or anything about TypeScript, it's always very reassuring that it's much safer, much better, and JavaScript is only for purists. So I sort of trusted that. Maybe that's bad advice. I don't know. Um, alrighty. So, all right. Here's the thing I love about GPT. No matter what shit I taught, I guess I should say that word on this. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. Whatever I tell it to do, it repeats it back to me, usually in a better way. So I'm describing a tile-based game. Yes, sounds a lot like Minesweeper. We're kind of cutting to the chase there, aren't we? Here's how we can break this down for React and TypeScript app. Blah 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 blah. Tiles. Each tile is going to have a value and Boolean telling us whether it's revealed. Yeah, that makes sense. You're going to put an M under it for mine because you're so smart. You already figured out it was Minesweeper. Um, so it's funny. I don't know how GPT decides to do this, but sometimes it will spoon feed you code, and other times it will just the whole thing out. And so here it's spoon feeding me a definition for a tile. And then down here, it's just decided to basically write the rest of the. Oh no, this is just okay. So here's a function to generate the grid, and then here's a component to view the grid on the screen, right? So it's returning some HTML with a bunch of options in it that I don't know. It'll draw a grid. We'll see what it looks like. Um, and then oh, it's suggesting that this game. So it wants to create a whole file for the game board, and then it wants my app.tsx to point to that. Now, this is probably going to work just fine, but in my very limited experience with React and knowing that this is going to be a very small app, I would really rather that it just writes the whole thing inside of app.tsx because then we've only got one file we have to worry about. So I'm going to ask it that. Please put the whole game into app.tsx and print out the whole file for me. Yeah, it's because TypeScript isn't Turbo Pascal. Okay. So here is the code for app.tsx. This is super handy and usable. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to hit copy, I'm going to open up my trusty notepad, I'm going to hit paste, and then I'm going to hit save as, and I'm going to overwrite this little hello world that it started out with. And I can put it in, what do we call which? This is the part where I accidentally overwrite files on my hard drive. Source files, all file type, overwrite app.tsx. Am I sure? I'm as sure as I'll ever be. There I go. And look at that. It reloaded. I got a tile grid game, which is an aptly titled tile grid game. I don't love the appearance of these files. I'd like to see a border around it and some stuff, but whatever. Nice. First one I click is a mine. But look, I can already click on things and it's going to reveal the tiles as I click on them. Let's do a little bit of uh, what do you call it, fancying it up, and then we'll get into the next layer of functionality. So um, let's get it to build a style sheet for us because I think that's good practice. I don't know if it would recommend that on its own or not, but we're going to ask for it, and we're going to make some styling suggestions. So here we go. And I better scroll down, make sure it didn't actually do it already. It didn't. Okay. Please create a style sheet for this app. I want the grid to have a border around it. around the whole thing, and for the border between tiles to be spaced equally in the horizontal and vertical direction. If a tile is revealed and has an M under it, I want the background of that tile to be red. Let's see what it comes up with. I'm not even going to read this. I'm just going to assume he got it right. App.css. Copy. Don't overthink it, man. We're vibe coding. New file. Paste. Save as. I'll replace the CSS file. Yes, and now created all of these little styles, but I still have to reference them in my app. So it's probably told me how to update the app, and so it has. So I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to paste that over my app. I'm going to save that, and hey, it did what we asked. This is great. All right, so if you're familiar with Minesweeper, you will know that the thing that makes the game interesting is that as you reveal tiles, it will give you a number on that tile telling you how many mines are next to that tile, right? So if I click this tile, it's going to tell me that there are at least 2 mines beside it. So let's ask our copilot for that. So when you generate the, no, after you put the M's on the tiles, I want you to, I want the pronouns after the game puts the M on the tiles. I want it to review each tile and assign a number to that tile. The number corresponds to the number of M tiles that are around it. Orthogonally and diagonally. Definitely spelled that wrong. Oh yes, here we go. It's telling us again that we're building Minesweeper because it is so clever. Okay, so generate grid function now has 2 steps. So let's just take a look at what it gave us before for generate grid. There we go. It was a pretty simple function. So we are just going to blindly, because we trust in our copilot, take the new generate grid function, which is nice and long, and paste it over the old generate grid function. And we're going to hit save. And then now we're probably going to want to restart our game. Let's see what we get. Oh, there's some numbers. Does this count? This has got a 1, 2. There's the mine. Let's see, are the numbers looking correct? I think they're looking pretty good. There must be a mine here, right? So there is. Okay, so we got our numbers. And it went ahead. You would have think if it was taken us literally, it would have put little zeros on these blank tiles, but it's already figured out that we're writing Minesweeper, and so it's replacing the zeros with blanks. And if we look in our app, we'll probably see that. Tile revealed, it's either tile value or blank. So maybe it just decided to put blanks in there. Yeah. Anyway, it figured it out. And again, we have barely looked at our code. We're taking it on faith that it works. Okay, so what do we got to do next? Well, so the fun part of Minesweeper, as you may recall, if you have played it, is that you click on one of these blank things, and if it's blank because there are no mines near it, it will open up this whole area recursively, and it'll sort of stop at the boundaries of when things are next to mines. So let's see. This I think is a little bit more difficult to describe, but I think our copilot is already on to us that we're building Minesweeper, so it might just figure it out. So let's try to describe it. When the player clicks to reveal a tile with no mines near it, a zero or a blank, I guess, just to be clear, then the game should reveal all 8 tiles that are touching that tile if one of those 8 tiles also is zero or blank. This process should be repeated. And to me, yes, recursive blank tile revealing. There you go. So let's just read this logic back. When a tile with null or zero is clicked, do that. Yes. Step by step code it. So it doesn't want to give us the whole thing. It wants to give us step by step. Fine. So it's giving us a function for reveal empty tiles. I think we already had a function for that. Let's see. Generate grid. No, we did not. Okay, so we've got a new piece of code we're going to put in here. So underneath generate, order doesn't really matter, but here it goes, reveal tiles. And then it's given us a click handler, which we would have thought we would have had already. So let's search our code. Oops. Handle click. Oh yeah, we've got a click handler. We're just going to make it better. Make a little space. Click handler. Doo-doo. So instead of, see with the old one, it's just basically toggling the state of revealed, but with the new one, whoops, I just copied instead of pasted. With the new version, it's probably going to call the reveal empty tiles function that we just put in there. So there it is. I'm skeptical that this will work, but let's save it and give it a try. I'll reload this thing to get a fresh board. This thing Minesweepers. This is pretty good. I don't know how long I've been doing this now, 25 minutes, but we're starting to actually have a game. Now the next thing that Minesweeper does, and this is subtle, not everybody even played with this rule, but if you played it a lot, you knew that you could right click on a tile and it would put a flag on it. And the flag didn't necessarily, it didn't have an action in the game. You didn't win or lose by putting flags, but they were convenient markers for yourself to remember where a mine was. So let's do that next. Open up my little window and say, when the player right clicks on a tile, it should toggle whether a little flag icon is visible on top of the tile. Only uh, hidden tiles can have flag icons. And once again, it's reminding us that we're just copying Minesweeper. Okay, so it wants us to add another attribute to tile. So now it's got a value, whether or not it's revealed and whether or not it has a flag. Well, that's easy. So we'll go up here, find our little tile definition and pop that in. Look at that, we're helping it. And then update, generate grid to initialize flag equals false. That seems a little harder. Let's find generate grid. There it is. And what's it trying to put in there? A dot map. Ah, maybe it goes there. Does that make sense? Let's put it there. I mean, it looks like it'd be happy there. There's another map function. It looks like we can do multiple things within this. Oh, I think we're going to replace that line. Yeah. Instead of mapping 2 values, we're mapping 3. See, this is where all the years of experience helps. Then handle right click. So that's a whole new function. Well, let's take a look at it. What's it going to do? It's going to not pop up a menu. That's handy. It's going to create an, I don't know why it's doing that. I'm a little suspect. I don't really know why that's doing that. Hey, we trust this thing blindly, right? Field tiles, right hand click, save. Did I miss an instruction? I'm really good at missing instructions. And then the tile rendering logic down here. Is that the whole thing? No, it's just the tile thing. This part. And all right, I think I'm probably replacing the right bit here, but I'm going to tell you I'm pretty notorious for replacing the wrong chunk of code. Anyway, it didn't bomb, so let's redo it. And wow, that was a lucky strike. Okay, so if I right click, do I get a flag? I don't. The flag thing is not working. Let's try rebooting. But I'm definitely not getting the right click menu. So, all right, so I'm surprised it took this long for something to not work, but here we are. So I'm going to copy my code. I give it to my copilot because it's lost track of things. I think I've lost track of what it knows. It's lost track of what I know. I'm just going to say, hey, it doesn't work. When I right click, there is no flag icon that appears. Here is my code. Now it's going to say simple, of course. Ah, Dave, you fool. You put handle right click in the wrong spot. Let's get rid of it. And let's put it inside the app, which is where the left click one was. So that's, in hindsight, pretty obvious. Save. Yeah, now we got flags. Okay. All right, so we're starting to look like Minesweeper here. We can flag a couple things. We can click a couple things. Um, we can, that was obviously bomb. I don't know why I clicked on it, but you'll notice that I can willy-nilly click on mines and the game doesn't end. So I think it would be really nice to have an end game situation here. So that'll be kind of the last thing we ask it to do, and then I think we're pretty complete. So um, when the user reveals an M with their click, it should be game over. The game should produce a modal that says game over and has a sad picture in it. The modal should have a reset button that reloads the page. Let's see what it comes up with. Oh, look at this. It's giving it compliments. Now, a lot of people I know have been changing they're asking ChatGPT to be straight with them or to be sharp and to the point and not as nice to them. I don't know why they do that. I like it when it's nice to me, and the more little happy bits and pieces of this that I get from ChatGPT, literally the happier my life is. You'd have to be some kind of I don't know what you'd have to be to want it to be rude to you, but I sure don't. Okay, feature plan, yeah, sure. Add a game over state. Okay. Um, so, if we were trying to learn as we go, we might say, oh, that's a simple line of code. I could probably learn from that. Um, what is this doing? It's creating a variable in the game. And from my very limited React experience, I know that this is a state variable with React, and it's basically a reference. I can refer to the variable or get the value through game over, and I can set it through set game over. So I know, again, from my very limited experience, that that kind of thing usually goes up at the top, but within the app function. There we go. Boop. Okay, now it wants to update my click handler to create that game over state. I can do that. I know where handle click is. It's right here. Where should I put it? If tile value equals m, I've already got an if it equals m. What am I doing here? Okay, so right now, inside the if m, it just does new grid revealed equals true. So I want to add these lines so that it's not just that line. And, a better person than me would be trying to align all their code, but I'm not that guy. What else? Add a modal in the return JSX. So back down in the part of it that's actually rendering on the screen, we got to draw our modal, and it's going to go. Oh Lord, I've changed all this stuff. Okay, so here's the grid. So everything in between these squiggly brackets is giving me the grid, the actual drawing of the thing. So I'm going to put the modal underneath that. And I usually break React when I do this because it tells me I can't return two objects at the same time or something. So let's just see. No, I saved it and it took it. I think the rule was that if you return, you can't return two objects directly in here, but if you put them inside of a div, you can. I don't know. Um, and let's look at what it's going to do. So I mean, right off the bat, we don't need these little GPT icons. We do want it to say game over. I don't know. It's got to. We'll learn what that graphic is when we see it. I want to make it a little bit bigger. I like big. Width equals 400. I don't care what the height is. We'll just let the height do its own thing. Um, play again button. I mean, that looks like it's going to do what we asked it to. So let's save it. And add a style. I definitely want to add these styles. Just slap them down at the end of my style sheet. Save. So let's just click until we die here. Boom, game over. Oh yeah, that's pretty cute. Um, all right, there's some things I don't like about it though. So play again should be underneath. Let's just make that change ourselves. Uh, Now going back to like grade 11, writing HTML, I'm going to put this inside of a little paragraph block. There's probably a better way to do this, but I'm pretty sure if I do that, it's just going to put it on a new line. Yes, it does. And then I want the modal to be centered on the game board, not centered on the window. So I think that that has to do with the divs, the way the divs are laid out here, which is impossible to read because of the way I've done the spacing in here. So I'm just going to ask GPT to fix the whole thing for me. I'm going to say, I would like the modal to be centered on the game board rather than uh, the window. Here is my code. Help me. Right. No, don't tell me what to do. Just do it for me. All right. Grid, modal overlay. Oh my God, you're going to make me replace this one thing at a time. Okay, get all the modal overlay stuff gone. What else did I just paste in here? Dot grid. That's a repeat of the grid above, so I'll just get rid of that. Boop. Oh yeah, there it is in the center. And then I don't want to use this Jiffy thing. I mean, it is a pretty funny little picture, but because we've got our little copilot here, let's ask it to make a picture. So let's say create a game over, create a picture for my game over modal. It should be a cartoon style picture of a bomb exploding, maybe in a funny way. You're using, oh. Wow. All right, we won't do that because I don't know how to get out of this without broadcasting all my chat history all over the internet. So we'll just pause it there. We'll leave it with Carlton. Now, the one thing I don't like the title of the grid game. I want to fix that. I'm going to call it something better. Um, oh, you know what? When you have writer's block, what a zany name that we could give this game. So you really don't have to think for yourself when you're doing this stuff. Where does it say the grid game? Tile grid game. There it is. Base. Mine over matter. Not bad. Not bad. Oops, all mines. Detonator days. Oh, that's going to resonate with kids. Hang on. Detonator. Uh-oh. Days. I love it. And there we go. I mean, I think we got kind of a basic game here. There's lots of things that we could add to this. Like, for example, this game isn't winnable. I don't think 30 mines is really enough. I'd like to see a few more mines. Let's just go in there. Now I'll date myself with age, but as many of you may recall from I'll say the 90s, one of my very first coding experiences was taking the demo games that came with Quick Basic. There was a snake game called Nibbles and a gorilla game. And the first coding exercise I ever did on my own was go into that game and make the snakes long and make the explosions huge. So you could say my only skill is finding the variable name and changing the value in an entertaining way. And so that's what we've done here. Now we have more minds. I think we have a better game. And there you have it. That took less than an hour, and we have substantially recreated Minesweeper. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't speculate how long it actually took to write Minesweeper in the first place. I'm sure that it was more than an hour, but it's not a big game. It was probably still done under a week, and maybe just by one person. But I think that we have demonstrated here that at least simple things can be done very quickly, and they can be done very quickly by somebody who doesn't really have a great idea about what he's doing. So certainly, the world is a little bit different with LLMs as copilots. How far can we take this? I don't know. I'm gonna set up another stream at some point to try to figure that out. Grid theft auto, yeah. Maybe a sim game would be an interesting one. That's a